Hey everyone, happy lunchtime, happy Tuesday. Welcome to the panel here at SOM about entrepreneurship at the Yale School of Management. My name is Mike Kaleli. I'm the only one without a name card in front of me. I work in the Career Development Office. I'm going to talk a little bit about what the Career Development Office does, how we work with the entrepreneurship community, and then we have a couple second-year students here as well. We're going to provide their insights into how they engage with entrepreneurship, startups, their own experiences at SOM, and have time to answer questions that you have. So if you have questions on the system, make sure you send those through in the chat, and we can get those answered as we go along. In terms of the CDO, just broadly, I work on one of our teams called the Career Education and Coaching Team. So a lot of the work that we do with all of our students, irrespective of what they're interested in from an industry or function or type of company, are coaching students and helping them understand the landscape of careers, of their opportunities, and making them the best versions of what they do. We also have on the corresponding side of my team an employee partnership team where we're working with companies in the field to help them understand how they can partner with the Yale School of Management and how we can help them find a match of the right students that they're looking for. And so mainly what our work is and how we think about our office, again, across every single industry and every single student, is we want to be as customized as we can to every single student, helping them truly achieve what it is that they want to do, empower them and partner with them along that process, and just as well to equally do that with our employee partners to be the bridge to help students find what they want to do. And so in the entrepreneurship space, that's obviously a little bit different, oftentimes because people are trying to do their own thing where they don't need an external partner, or the companies that they're interested in talking to are small, and they're typically not going to look to the schools as a construct to find those things. But we like to think that our partnership with the individual students and the student clubs is the way that we formulate that and we work through that. So that's who the CDO is and what we do very broadly. I'll be here to moderate the questions, and we have questions here, but I want to turn it over and just have Max start the introductions in terms of our students and who they are.
Sure. My name is Max Dworin, as you can see from my nameplate here. We all get nameplates for our classes. So the professors know who we are. I'm a second year MBA, and prior to business school, I would sort of divide my pre-business school career into sort of two parts. One was sort of first I was in the political world. I was in the media relations and communication side of that. So I worked on the Hill. I worked for sort of a lobbying group, let's say. That's not really technically what it was, but so I did a number of things on that side and realized that ultimately I didn't really want to be in communications. I didn't want to do media relations, and I wasn't finding the fulfillment in politics that I had hoped. And I made a real pivot into more of an entrepreneurial role. I always had this entrepreneurial side to me, and so I said I want to work for an entrepreneur. I ended up getting a job at a company called Boxed, which is sort of like online Costco, is how I would describe it. And I joined there as chief of staff to the CEO, and then later shifted over to launch and lead a new business line at the company. Came to SOM to sort of broaden out my skill set, get myself introduced to a lot of new opportunities, and I also always knew I wanted to have some sort of entrepreneurial exposure here and start a venture. So just to wrap up, this summer I interned at Procter & Gamble, so not at a startup. I saw the brand management role at Procter & Gamble as a great way to like continue building those skills that I came to school to learn, but I had a great opportunity. I was actually on a sort of innovation and new products team at P&G, where I actually basically launched an internal startup and brought an entirely new product to market, which was a lot of fun. And then while here, I'm working on a venture with a classmate of mine who I actually met sort of through the admissions process, and we became friends, and we've been bouncing ideas off of each other for a while. And we are hoping and planning to bring to market this coming spring an all new type of alcoholic beverage, actually. So it's a sparkling tequila with real fruit juice. So think of it as like a kind of higher end version of a White Claw. And we're hoping to launch here in New Haven. So more to come. If you end up coming to SOM, you could try it. So that's my story.
Hi, I'm Meryl Breitbart. Also, you can read that on my name card that I also have, so professors know my name. I did a couple things.
Everyone knows Meryl.
I'm actually the only Meryl at Yale right now, so it does help. I did a couple things before SOM as well. I have a background in design, so I studied design as an undergrad, and then I got an MFA in design and worked at a couple startups doing product and design work. But I also founded a company 6 years ago with two college classmates called Chirps, where we make snacks, mostly tortilla chips and protein powder, using crickets as a protein source. So I actually have the unique circumstance of coming to SOM already as an entrepreneur. And the reason I came was because I recognized there was a gap in my own skill set, and I wanted to level up and better understand and build confidence in things like finance and accounting and things that are extremely important when you run your own business, but I typically punted to my co-founder. So, been working along while I'm in school on that business on a part-time basis. I spent a lot of my school breaks flying back out to San Francisco where we're headquartered. It's also where I spent the summer, so I like to tell people I interned for myself. And continue to work throughout the year. So I'm a good person who can answer questions about what it's like to balance starting a business or working on a business while you're in your first year, or what it's like to have a business when you already come to school and how to balance all of that. But this is an amazing environment for entrepreneurship. The other thing to add is that actually Max included, all three of us are on the leadership team for the Startup and Entrepreneurship Club. So we can speak a lot to the relationship between the clubs, the program on entrepreneurship, the CDO, and all of those things while at SOM.
Cool. Thanks, Meryl. Hi, everyone. My name is Nithya. My journey before SOM first off, I'm a second year in the School of Management, and I'm a dual degree in the School of Public Health as well. My journey before SOM was largely rooted in the field of digital health. I'd like to say I crafted my own rotational program to figure out what I wanted to do in that space. I spent 2 or 3 years doing research, thought I wanted to be a clinician and an academic. Then I realized no one really cared when I published things. Nothing changed in the world. So I moved to India. I started a nonprofit that delivered online mental health coaching to university students, and had an amazing experience. Learned that I think anything designed in isolation in a lab breaks when you deploy it in the world, and so much of the fun, or something I find fun in, is figuring out implementation of new ideas in different contexts and different cultures. So I had a really great experience there, stumbled, messed up a ton. Every decision I made felt like I was flying by the seat of my pants. And I wanted to learn more about how you scale things, not just to hundreds, but to thousands. And so, of course, found my way to startups in the Bay Area, New York City, did that for about 2 years, and then came to SOM because I was really excited to, I think there's always gaps in life to fill, but for me, I was excited to learn more about being a leader in different contexts. Finance is, of course, also good. But was excited to come here and explore that and flex that muscle of leadership. I came in, thought I really wanted to work on, again, a startup for student mental health because I was going to be at a school, and felt kind of just a calling to focus more on mentorship and advisory within entrepreneurship. So I spent a lot of my time last year being an innovation advisor for Sci-City, which is an on-campus innovation hub. As Meryl mentioned, we're also all three on the leadership board of the Startup Club here. I'm on the student advisory board for the Innovation Hub on campus, and have had just a beautiful experience getting to know the fantastic classmates that I have here who are really pumped to pursue their own ideas. So happy to answer any questions about other resources on campus or what it's like navigating the dance between entrepreneurship and all the other things in life. My summer I spent in 2 more corporate environments. I knew I wanted to have a more structured experience than I did in my years coming up to SOM. So I spent half of my summer at a company called Bridgewater, in a management role, and the other half as a product manager in a large health delivery system focused on digital mental health, which was really awesome. So happy to speak to any of those things.
Thank you all. I'm going to start. I have a couple questions for us. So Nidja, you mentioned the dance, as you put it, in terms of when you came here. So how did you all think, individually, of course, not together, how did you all think when you came to SOM? You had this notion of entrepreneurship, of starting your own business, and there's a lot of resources, a lot of classes, a lot of people. How did you think about supporting those career efforts that you had? And then what are the resources you used at the onset of the time at SOM, and what was that like?
Yeah. Opinion of one, so I'm glad we have more. For me, I wrote my essay saying, hey, I'm going to come to school. I remember telling the admissions office about it. I'm going to come to school. I'm going to start a company that develops software for colleges to administer mental health services to students. I came in raring to do that. I had my application ready for the accelerator on campus. And I'll be honest, someone in a class, in one of our managing groups and teams classes, told me, it's evident you know how to champion your own ideas. I wonder what it would be like to help others champion theirs, or help champion others. For whatever reason, that hit me really strongly. And so I put a lot of my effort into what I mentioned, advising other students on their startups. I got to work with two that wanted to work on mental health startups, one of which is going to take it and have it be her full-time thing post SOM, which makes me feel really warm and fuzzy. In terms of navigating resources, I've personally have gotten so much out of just the opportunities to help shape community here through the Startup Club, through the Innovation Hub, Sci-City on campus. I think the CDO is great. I've definitely gone in there multiple times and just kind of vomited all the things I'm feeling and had someone come back to me, including Mike, be like, okay, so let's talk about strategy. So I personally find this to be a very safe environment to come in, let it all hang out, and figure out what path is right for you, and have the safety and permission to know that that's going to change over time, and that's allowed.
Yeah, I think I echo everything that you said. This is an incredibly safe environment, and I want to give a plug for the program on entrepreneurship, which is the sort of academic arm of entrepreneurship within SOM specifically. So it has its own area in the building with sort of co-working space, and the faculty sit right there next to you. Their offices are right there. And Jennifer McFadden and Kyle Jensen both are just extremely available and willing to help you navigate truly anything. I've cried in Jennifer's office many times just from stress and feeling like, like you haven't cried yet if you haven't experienced entrepreneurship, you haven't cried yet. But just knowing that like it's truly a safe environment, and what's amazing is they're both entrepreneurs. Kyle is the 3-time founder, and Jennifer founded a company as well, and she actually went to SOM. So they both combined completely understand the unique experience of entrepreneurship within the Yale ecosystem. But then they also are well connected to all of the people at Sci-City or at the other hubs for entrepreneurship around campus, and know exactly who to point you to when they can't answer your questions.
Yeah, I think I'll just add, I'll add, a couple things. And you asked sort of how did you think about sort of this dance of entrepreneurship, but also how did you approach the beginning of your SOM time with that dance in mind? I knew that I didn't come to SOM to start a company or to like have that be my path, but I did sort of feel very strongly that while here, it would be a missed opportunity for me, and again, also data point of 1, to not start something just because of like how frankly low risk it is once you're here to sort of embark on such an endeavor. So, and not to mention, I will never again have sort of the resources at my fingertips in such an easy to access way than I do right now. What I mean by that is, classmates like Meryl, for example, who is a MFA and a brilliant like designer who I can bounce ideas off of for the package design of the product that I'm working on. You have faculty members that I've consulted faculty members on pricing. How do we think through a pricing strategy? I mean, these are tens of thousands of dollar like consulting conversations that like you don't have to pay for. I have classmates that can help with ideas and sample the product, and classmates who have financial modeling backgrounds and networks and space for free and advisors. And by the way, you have a Yale email address that opens loads of doors. So for me, I just felt very strongly that not only would I have the best chance to succeed while here in whatever startup venture that I went on, but it would also be a great way to implement and put into practice some of what I'm learning in the classroom, because I'm more of a learn by doing type of person. And so I wanted to be able to like actually go and sort of take that customer class, which is the first year sort of marketing class, and like actually think about who is the consumer? How do we reach this consumer? What is the value proposition? And really do it on something that was sort of my business and part of my identity. So that's how I thought about it. And I just think that you're never going to, and by the way, if your business doesn't end up being a success and end up becoming what you do full time after this, that's okay, because you end up graduating with a Yale MBA, which is pretty damn cool and respected in the world. So completely low risk and lots of upside in terms of learning and growth and potential success. And I think to that, when I came in with that concept of, hey, I want to start something while here because I'm never going to have like a better or lower risk opportunity, I honestly prioritized just meeting people and making friends and talking with people about this idea that I did want to have entrepreneurship be a part of my journey here. And I think it's come to that strategy for me has worked because I'm launching something with a classmate who came to me with the initial idea. It wasn't my idea. We workshopped an initial idea that turned into what we're doing now. But the more people I was able to meet and get exposure to what they were working on, I had a few different founders here who approached me like, hey, do you want to work on this together? And I ended up sort of aligning and starting to work with my friend Noah. But that wouldn't have happened if I didn't sort of mix it up and just put myself out there that this was something I wanted to do. So that would be my recommendation. I would also put in a huge plug for the entrepreneurship team, and then the entrepreneurship and the startup and entrepreneurship club too, as a way to do that and facilitate that.
Thank you, guys. I have one more question that we're going to get to. It's actually very helpful for folks as they think about potentially applying and going through the admissions process here. So I then want to open up the questions. So if you have questions, put them in the system, and we can take a look at them and answer any particular questions you have. But I'm going to ask you a rhetorical question that I would like you to answer for everybody, if that's an okay thing to do. So rewind back, I guess, 2 years ago almost now. What are the questions you wish you could have asked yourself, or someone had asked you, or you'd been aware of 2 years ago? Like, what are those questions as you think about like your roles as entrepreneurs, intrapreneurs, like people of that entrepreneurial mindset? And like, what are the questions? And then how would you answer those questions now when you look in hindsight and what those?
Do you mean as it relates to like
SOM, the entrepreneurship community, your own experience?
I can start. I think that something that's very tempting in any school environment is to come in, and after you take the first year here, as you probably know, you take all your required classes, so you have very little say over what those are, and it's really a great place to just have everybody end up at the same level. But then you get to choose all of the classes you take for the rest of the time at Yale, and it's very tempting to take things that you are already really good at, and therefore you're going to do well in, and you really enjoy. And the reason this is related to entrepreneurship is I think when you're coming into SON, and if you're expecting to explore what it's like to be an entrepreneur, when it comes to coursework, it could be very tempting to double down on things that you already know really well. And I think I struggle a lot when picking my classes to make sure I'm not just taking another marketing class, but rather I'm in corporate finance this semester, and I truly think if you had told me 2 years ago I would have chosen to take a corporate finance class, I would have laughed at you. But it's really important. You also do have the opportunity while you're here to build these skills you don't already have, which when you're an entrepreneur, the very first role you have in your company is literally every single role in your company. So thinking about reminding yourself as you begin this journey that you're coming to school. It's not just a 2-year, it feels a lot like a 2 years of recess, or you get to just play and have fun and explore, but you also have this great opportunity to learn, and don't let that pass you by.
I wish I knew something I'm doing right now is I have a running document of things that are things I actually want to remember and believe I will implement in a role differently than I would have 2 years ago. Context for that, I'm a dual degree, doing it in 2 years. I probably have like 1.5 times as many classes folks, and so I am inherently spread thin. And there's this frenzy to want to live your undergrad years and be perfect at everything, and I think at least this semester, I'm taking the approach of, okay, what are the 3 of my, 8 classes right now that I know I'm going to take to my job and take to where I'm going to go with a different frame, a different skill set? And what are the classes where, I know they're going to give me new language to talk about a topic, but they're not going to give me any hard skills. And just that, for me at least, that allocation of energy across all the things I'm doing has become more intentional. So I guess coming into school, it's a playground here. There's so much fun stuff to do. I kind of had a different experience from Max in that I came in thinking I wanted to work on a venture and it had fully scoped out, and then I got here, and for me at least, it was an opportunity cost to not give myself time to play while here. And play for me meant like joining the MBA Impact Investing Network and training and understanding more about that space, or taking more classes on policy modeling so that I can take that back to the venture work I hope to do in the future. So I would say come in asking yourself, how do I want to be or feel differently in certain scenarios of experiences I've had in the past, and what is going to give me that? And then, as much as possible in this candy shop of a place, have a little bit of intentionality around who and what and where you're giving your energy.
I love all those analogies. The playground, the candy shop. I'm like,
I'm in a very good state here.
I'm ready to go. Yeah, I don't know that I have so much to add, so I won't belabor it. But I think I wish I had thought about. I think I kind of over time have gotten to this point, but I thought about the entire SOM experience, as a growth experience that like every part of it kind of complements each other, or you should, I think about it that way. So working on a venture complements what I'm doing in the classroom, which the leadership, roles I've taken on outside of the classroom, to the internship I did this summer, right? Like I thought of the internship this summer, for example, as an extension of my main purpose for being here, which was to grow and build skills and ultimately be on a path to learn how to run, operate, scale a business. And you just have this like 2-year window where you get to try a whole bunch of things and see what you like, what you don't like, shore up maybe what you're not good at. I'm in corporate finance too. I can barely add, right? So that's a joke. But it's difficult on some days. But I think it's just important to look holistically at your time here and always remind yourself, like, why are you here? And every decision and every sort of position you're taking on, every class you're taking, put it through the lens of like, is this helping me sort of get to where I want to go? Is this helping me? Is this fulfilling why I came here? And if it's not, there's so much to do, like it's not worth doing, and stay focused on the things that sort of answer that question positively for you. But think about it beyond just the classroom. It's with extracurriculars, it's with your entrepreneurial pursuits, it's with your internship, you name it. There's lots of ways to sort of get to that, answer of why am I here, and is this actually sort of productive in that aspect?
I'll add a little bit onto that. I'll share something that a person who graduated told me when I was exploring internships rather, and I really liked this advice. It was pick like something. What's a hypothesis about yourself? Whether the culture you want to be in, the work you want to do, the skills you want to be deploying, and test that in an internship. Because in 10 weeks, like nothing radical is gonna change, but you might learn something new about yourself. And I think that could be applied to all of your experience here. Take a class and see if it's a new skill you even care to, maybe you don't want to add, and someone else can wear that hat on your team, and that's totally fine. So I think the intentionality is really good.
Yeah, and I think just to bring that to life, I mean, I did not come into school at all thinking I'm born and raised in New York City. Like I've never worked at a big company. I didn't come into school thinking I'm going to go move to Cincinnati and work at Procter & Gamble and sell laundry detergent, right? But I wanted to sort of not be on the East Coast for the summer. I wanted to try a big company because I'd never done that and frankly didn't think I would like it. And I sort of tested that because I had this 3-month trial to try something totally new, and I loved it. So I totally agree with that advice. I think it's awesome.
We had some questions come through, and one of them is related to what you were all talking about now, which is, and Meryl, you started this conversation in terms of the classes you get to choose your second year. Mm-hmm. So what are, specifically, what are some of the classes you've taken in the second year, whether it be to find a new skill that you didn't know about, or it be like whoa, I can't believe that's the type of class that I get access and exposure to here at SOM and at Yale more broadly?
I can start this one as well. I think one of the best classes you could possibly take while at SOM is a class called Startup Founder Studies. It's a class where you have to have founded a company or worked in early stage startups in some capacity, whether it's as an investor or an early stage employee. But barring that, it's a roundtable discussion of about 18 students from the entire university. So there's a lot of undergrads, there's some med students. It's like it's a hodgepodge. And then we meet for 3 hours once a week, and a different actual founder from the world comes and sits with us. And 3 hours is a long time. You get to learn a lot of things about that person's personal struggles, about their business. There's truly nothing like it. I never thought I'd look forward to a 3-hour seminar, and yet I do every week. There's also snacks, so that helps.
Do they serve chirps?
No, we should though. We serve, but speaking of, we did serve chirps in the other class I really recommend is called Venture Capital, and I think it's mostly geared towards people who want to go into venture capital, and it's sort of a landscape of what the different types of deals are, like what a term sheet is, all of that stuff in a variety of contexts for not just the U.S. and not just Silicon Valley, but coming from the entrepreneurship side, it's been really helpful because I've been in a lot of these conversations having like my own venture that was invested in, but always felt a bit like a fish out of water. And I kind of view it as eating your vegetables a little bit, but it's a great class. And we did serve chirps yesterday. And it's just, I kind of can't believe how much I've learned, and it only started 6 weeks ago. So those are, I mean, the other one that I'm sure someone else will mention too is, there's a class called the Startup Founder Practicum where we meet once a week on Tuesdays for lunch, except for today, obviously. And but everybody in the class is currently working on a venture. So you're given a mentor who you meet with once a week as well, and you just are getting course credit for a full semester to actually build out your startup, whatever it is, whether it's a nonprofit, for-profit, whatever it may be. It could be just an idea. It could already exist. It doesn't really matter. And that builds both an amazing community, but it's also like freaking awesome that you get to get course credit to work on your company, and you also get fed lunch. So those are important classes.
I will add, I think it's, well, I got a piece of advice from a mentor when I was coming to school is, you know, he suggested, look, I think it's great you want to work on a venture. I think that's important and you should pursue that, but like make sure you're also being mindful of building a functional skill set. Mm-hmm. And so while I think, yes, I think there's the entrepreneurial classes and the classes that are sort of, you know, kind of adjacent, let's say, like a VC class. I think it's great. I do think it's important to make sure, you know, to some of the earlier points too, that you are sort of focused on like what are the functional sort of aspects that I need to improve on, whether that is the corporate finance or whether it's marketing or accounting. And so just being mindful of exploring those. There's what's sort of interesting also about the entrepreneurship curriculum, though, is there are a lot of ways to approach it. So some are getting credit for a venture you're working on. Some are sort of more discussion based. A class that I'm taking now, I'm going to go against the advice I just gave, is a class called Entrepreneurship Through Acquisition, which is my favorite class. I love it. I just came from it. And it's, you know, to boil it down very quickly, it's a class that teaches you the model, entrepreneurship model called a search fund model. Very simply, you raise a bunch of money from investors. You use that to fund a search for a small or medium-sized business to acquire. You acquire a small or medium-sized business that's probably being sold because of a life event. Somebody wants to retire, for example. And then you basically install yourself as CEO. Oh, you raise money from investors to buy that business. And then you become the CEO and try to increase the, you know, the revenue and the profit and the value. And then you exit on the back end, making money for yourself as part of the exit and the investors. And what I love about it is it's an entirely new sort of, for me, approach to entrepreneurship. And it's showing me that like, I don't have to start my own company. I don't have to have a big idea to potentially run a company and be a successful entrepreneur, frankly, very soon after business school. And just the muscles that we're flexing in the class. So basically every class we're looking at a potential deal and doing a discounted cash flow analysis. And what would you pay for this? And if you bought it, how would you sort of operationalize it and grow the company? And these are like, this discounted cash flow analysis for me, like as somebody who admittedly wasn't very good at addition, is like, it's a really great way to learn, but I'm getting exposure to a new form of entrepreneurship. I'm flexing some muscles that I haven't used before. It's very practical, very real, and frankly, a potential career path for myself or anybody coming into SOM. So that is a great class, but I do recommend pairing sort of entrepreneurship with sort of more functional, like skill building stuff that's, you know, very focused on one particular lane.
I can take a similar approach of the hard and soft and their values. I came in on the harder side. I'm taking a class called Policy Modeling, which I love. Every time I leave, I'm just like fascinated by how this professor's brain works and how he turns everything in the world as inputs to models. My background had been in digital health, and specifically found myself often trying to sell preventive mental health services to school systems. And it was really hard to say allocate dollars that could go to more immediate needs to this, because I swear it to you, in 3 years you're going to see the outcomes. So I came in saying I want to learn how to model and then eloquently pitch the value of preventive health services. And I've been able to take really cool classes related to that specific goal. So policy modeling is one I'm taking right now. I'm also in a cost effectiveness class. Think a lot of decision trees, but then also some professors will take it back to like, okay, now how do you go pitch this to someone? So that specifically is something I came to school wanting to learn. On the softer side, which I don't think means is any less practical, if anything, I think it's probably the most practical skill, is a class called Interpersonal Dynamics. A lot of business schools teach this. It's often called like touchy-feely, but it's basically, I call it my touchy-feely Tuesdays, because we have a 6-hour class that starts at 2:30 today, in which you learn just how you show up in the world and how you influence and impact others. I've found it to be the best like petri dish of a space to trial at new ways of being, new ways of communicating, new ways of expressing feelings. And if I think to what's going to help shape me most for future leadership positions or team-based initiatives, it's going to be, I think, that class. So lots of opportunities on both sides of the spectrum.
A couple questions came through just about how do you balance all this stuff? So how do you balance the class load, the starting your own company, the student clubs, the come and have a coaching session, the hanging out, sleeping, all those? How do you strike any balance?
So
I don't know.
I don't know. I think I do feel like this is such an amazing opportunity, and to use a phrase that I'm going to go with one of Nithya's analogies, it's this like beautiful, incredible playground, and once in a lifetime that like I don't personally like living with any regret, and so I feel like I want to like have these 2 years and like just like take everything I can from Yale as possible, but also contribute back into it too, because I think that's part of the bargain that I got accepted, and I think I owe to give back in my own way and be a part of it. So for me, I think this is a little bit of a dodge, and I'm coming from politics, so maybe that's normal. But I sorry. But what I would say is like I just see this as like a 2-year opportunity where like you can throw balance kind of out the window a little bit. There's just so much to do, and it's like as long as you're putting it through that lens of like, why am I here? Is this helping me grow? Is this helping me achieve my goals? Then like you should try to do all of it, and as long as you're happy, like that's important. And if things are not making you happy, then cut them. But I kind of put everything through the like, is this why I'm here? And does this make me happy? And if yes and yes, then I try to make it work. And then I just, sometimes I sacrifice on an extra hour or 2 of sleep. I don't know. I wish I had a more uplifting answer.
No, I think that's great. I
Very
think
honest.
to sort of pair to that, I think that's more of like the macro approach. And if you're looking, and I do a very similar thing of like just gut check, is this something that I'm doing because I feel obligated or because somebody asked, or am I doing this because I actually feel it's important? So being on this panel today, like I could have had lunch with my friends, and obviously these aren't my friends, but we don't normally talk to a camera. But it's important to me to help shape the next generation of SOM entrepreneurs, so I wanted to be here. But just asking yourself those questions. But then on a more sort of like tactical level, I think one of the skills that I just built being an entrepreneur and that I've seen myself utilize a lot while in school, which I encourage people to try to do, is try not to waste those like 15 minutes you have between like class and a meeting or whatever it may be, those little pockets of time where you could just send a couple emails or start a reading or whatever it may be. I have found those to be, that's the way I'm still able to I truly do get 8 hours of sleep every night. Otherwise I cannot function. So I think sort of know yourself and know, is that going to be a way for me to save the time that I need to do these other things? But you also pretty quickly figure out, and the people who work at SOM can shut their ears, but you quickly figure out what exactly you need to do and care to do, and what are the things that you don't mind letting slide. So if that extra reading, yes, is going to be really important for a class, but if it's not going to be as important for your individual learning as getting an extra half hour of sleep would be, that's a call. You're an adult, make that call. So those sorts of things.
Yeah, echo both Max and Meryl's advice to know yourself and make those calls. For me, if I compare undergrad to now, I think I know myself better, and I know what level of energy I need to show up to certain types of things. And if I don't have that energy, I feel okay not having FOMO and not going. So if that's a big business pool party and I know I'm not ready to socialize that much, I'm like, okay, that's not where I'm going to be now, and that's okay. Similar to Max, I don't like having regrets, and I want to do everything. So
Who doesn't?
So I end up spreading myself very thin, but I try and ask myself, like, are all of these things like bringing me joy in some way? Like every time a first year reaches out and wants to have a chat about life and career mapping, I'll say, let's take a walk so I can do a little exercise, and then I leave feeling really good. It's not draining, and I think it's very okay to ask yourself, like, what's the selfish reason that you're doing everything you're doing, and hopefully it's more expansive than just me learning. And everyone in this community seems to have a similar ethos to Max about wanting to give back, and yeah, I think give yourself permission to drop all the balls every now and then, not like ruin other people's agendas, but like every 2 weeks or so, I just cancel all my plans on a Thursday, go home, get in bed by like 4 p.m., watch a bunch of rom-coms, and wake up at like 6 a.m. the next day. And I feel great about it, and I no longer feel guilty about the need to do that. So I would say find ways to keep yourself whole, but have fun.
So one of the questions related to planning is not just about the day-to-day planning, but the planning and the decision-making for this summer. And so Nithya and Max, you first, and then Meryl, the counterpoint for yours, you both worked at large organizations this summer. So what for you went into that process to work at a large firm? How did you balance having your own startup idea in that context? And then what value and benefit did you put on that to do this summer? And then Meryl, the counterpoint would be the decision not to do that. So, but if Nithya and Max, you want to start first.
So as I said earlier, I was trying to do something totally different for the summer and test some of those, hypotheses about, I sort of didn't think I was going to like a big company, so let me try it for 3 months, and like, if I don't, then no harm, no foul. And for context, my venture was not far enough along to work on it, and I also was just coming from startups. So I didn't think working at somebody else's startup was going to like really be that illuminating for me and that clarifying in terms of the path I wanted to go down, because I'd had that experience. I was looking to supplement what I'd already done and learn sort of more about the type of environment I want to be and the type of work I want to do, and prioritizing skill building and doing something totally different. I was working on my venture this summer, and it was frankly really, really hard. It's hard to start a company no matter what. It's like extra hard when you're trying to move. You're moving to a new city temporarily, but potentially you're like seeing if it's a place you'd want to be long term. In my case, I found very quickly I liked the work, and I was really trying hard to get an offer to come back, to have that option, if that's a path that I chose to go down. It'd be helpful to like get an offer to come back. So I was really working hard. Then my co-founder and partner in the business had a similar sort of internship where he was working very hard, and to make that a full-time reality potentially down the line, at least have that option. And we were doing this remotely. He was in New York, I was in Cincinnati, and so it was really, really difficult. And frankly, I think it was the summer was three and a half, almost 4 months, and we definitely it definitely set us back. It was not the time away from school, like it was not helpful, and so you just have to think carefully about what your priorities are. And I don't regret that I did that full-time path. But I would say, we probably should be further along at this point in time than we are, and just the lack of being in the same physical city and space over the summer, and our sort of mixed focus on our internship while also the entrepreneurial venture just made it really, really difficult. And so you just have to figure out where your priorities are. And I'm okay with it, but it wasn't great on reflection for the venture?
For me, I came in having had entrepreneurial experiences and understanding the grind that can be, the time you spend like a lot of times alone by yourself at your laptop and hustling. And I wanted something different. I wanted, what I said before, to test theories and hypotheses I had about myself. One of which was, like, I don't know how I'd fare in a large company. The largest company I worked in prior was 100 or some people. So I came in saying I want to be a product manager at a digital health company, a large established digital health company. And that was one of the internships I ended up doing for the summer. To the advice about being open to things surprising you, I engaged with a recruiter from a company, a hedge fund that I didn't have anywhere on my radar, and every time I had conversations with people there, I kept being increasingly intrigued. And I ended up spending 8 weeks there and really loved the culture. Came away with a belief of like, oh, maybe there are some corporate environments in which I would feel able to be my whole self. Because in the past, I kind of relegated that as like not a possibility, and kind of doubled down on entrepreneurship further. So it was testing things about myself. And then I was at the digital health company in a product manager role and realized it was the exact role I wanted, the exact topic I wanted. People valued me for the knowledge I brought to digital health, and yet like the pace of making change at a 90,000 person company was like heartbreaking. And so to me, I knew I wanted both of those. It was tough. I was in the class Meryl talked about where wonderful mentors help guide you on working on your venture here. And I even got into a potential co-founder conversation. He had just got a spot for a similar venture at MIT's boot camp. And he was like, would you not take your 2 internships and come do this with me? And the part of me that tries to make everything fit together and work was trying really hard. But I'm glad that I took the summer to test those 2 things for myself. And I think I also was aware that like no one's going to solve student mental health in 10 weeks over a summer. So I think it's okay to use the time here to test different theories.
Then I think on the flip side, I already have experience having worked at a really large, like multi-office corporation where I knew that was not something I wanted. And I know, having worked on my own venture and worked at other people's ventures, that was something that is an environment I do enjoy. On a very practical level, my company, Chirps, is headquartered in San Francisco. We have a team of full-time employees. It kind of made a lot of sense to go and work in person with the team again, full-time. And I really enjoyed that. It's been a really long time since I've been able to just work on Chirps and not have it be in addition to some other thing. So that I really enjoyed. But I think just on a broader level that's perhaps more applicable to more people, while I think the most important thing is to make sure that you're spending your summer, as has been said, sort of doing something that you hypothesize might be something you'd want to do forever, whether it's the city, you're testing out the city, the role, the corporate environment, whatever it may be, that should be of chief importance. It is important to also recognize that, maybe this is just the thing I tell myself, but the CDO can confirm or deny, that a lot of companies do look at entrepreneurial experience on your resume as something that is valuable, whether it's you tried a startup and it failed, or you worked early stage at a startup, or whatever it may be. That's not going to be a wasted summer, even if the venture ends at the end of the summer, for example. And I was just at a talk yesterday with a 3-time founder of a multi-billion-dollar company, and he said he loves to hire people who are past entrepreneurs because he knows that they know how to hustle. So there is a lot that you can be signaling to future employers as you spend your summer as an entrepreneur, even if that ends up not being what you do full time after school. So it's not like you're pigeonholing yourself in any way.
Do you want me to confirm that?
Yes.
Confirmed. Just confirmed. So we have a slightly different question. It's not on the realm we're talking about. So a question about if both international candidates, folks who aren't in the U.S. and looking to come here, or people who are interested in their entrepreneurship broadly and globally. Like, what are the resources or exposure that you've had access to here related to the international side of entrepreneurship, whether that be on your own experiences, whether that be through the core Global Network Week, the international experience? Like, what are some of those specifics, if you could say any, that's allowed you to engage in the global opportunities around entrepreneurship?
This is sort of answering that question, but I think might be helpful information anyway. There are a number of students who are in the Founder Practicum course starting ventures while at SOM who are not U.S. citizens. That is not a barrier for you. So whether that's you're starting the company here, you're starting it in your home country, whatever it may be, Yale will work with you to figure out how to make that work. There are a lot of fancy lawyers and things here, so they can help you navigate that. But I personally haven't explored sort of expanding my business outside of the U.S. We're very focused on this country and our consumption in this country. But I have really enjoyed sort of more broadly the international experiences that I have had the opportunity to have while here. So going to and spending a week at the Technion in Israel last year and just meeting a bunch of other students from literally all over the world who are all, that program was actually focused on entrepreneurship, was fascinating because everybody that was there was looking to start a company wherever they were from or had started one or wanted to be an investor. It was just a totally awesome experience. Cannot recommend highly enough.
Yeah, I would say I have two thoughts on that. And you reminded me, I'm leaving on Thursday for my Global Network Week. I'm going to Berlin, where I'm taking a class on venture capital, private equity, and we're going to immerse ourselves in the Berlin startup community. It just there's so much to do between now and then that I haven't, I have to check it on my flight, but I don't even remember I'm going. So there are sort of international classes that for sure you can take advantage of to understand how entrepreneurship is different, as you cross borders and oceans. I think, though, it's important to remind yourself just the power of the Yale brand, the Yale name, the Yale network, and frankly, the manifestation of that as a Yale email address, because that's sort of what the outside world sees. And I just have two reasons I bring that up. One is for my venture, we needed to source tequila from Mexico, which sounds crazy and is not a thing that I thought I'd be doing when I came to business school. But I had multiple classmates from Mexico, one of whom used to actually did acquisitions of tequila companies for Diageo. So he had a global,
relevant,
very relevant. So he had lots of contacts. And then another classmate's best friend's father ran the Cuervo distillery in Mexico. So you just never know who you're going to meet here, and the international network that you get as a student here is incredible. And I think somebody said something to me when I was trying to decide schools. They were like, there's three sort of academic brands that are known throughout the world. It's like Oxford, Harvard, and Yale. You go any corner of the earth and people are going to know. And I think that really applies. You send somebody an email because you're looking for some sort of global opportunity, and your email is your name at yale.edu. That email is going to get opened. It's going to get clicked. It's going to get considered. And you're probably going to get a response. And that's super helpful in whatever you want to do, especially if you want to build a global business.
Yeah, not much more to add. I think Max's point about the email that you have is very true. Even when I was starting stuff in India, I was working at Stanford at the time, and having that stanford.edu email let me do so much that no one should have let me do as a 24-year-old. So I think leveraging that. I also think there's lots of curated experiences in the school if you want to dip your toe into entrepreneurship globally. So there's a class called Global Social Entrepreneurship in which you'd be paired with a startup or nonprofit globally throughout the semester, and then end up spending 2 weeks working with them. So there's those types of opportunities. And then I'll echo something that within SOM we always like to say, we're the business school that is most porous in engaging with the rest of the university. And I found that to be very true. I've connected with a lot of professors in the School of Medicine and Public Health related to mental health and non-communicable diseases in India, since that's my area of interest. And I find it a very easy community to just reach out to whoever you want and get a meeting within a week. So again, playground, pace yourself, but it's all here.
Okay, we have a lot of questions came through, so thank you all for these questions. They've been good, and they've had a good conversation. So we have time for a couple more. We're going to wrap up in about 5 minutes. One thing we haven't talked about is, we've talked a little bit about the community, about finding the right classes. We haven't talked about like access to capital and access to investors, and how does being at a place like Yale, again, whether that be the academic side of it or just the exposure to it, how has it allowed you and afforded you to be on that side of the business as well, where you're getting access to different capital through grants or fellowships or anything like that? So are you happy to expand on that?
Yeah, maybe I'll start because there are funding sources you can apply for through the entrepreneurship program. So, on my venture, we applied for funding and we put together, a pitch basically, and an outside group of, advisors to the entrepreneurship program, read all the applications and decided that the venture that I'm working on, which is now called Onda, O-N-D-A, go to drinkonda.com.
Should have had product placement.
Yeah, exactly. I should have had a can of sparkling tequila.
At lunchtime.
Ended up sort of getting a grant basically from the school for that business, and it's non-dilutive, so it was just grant to help sort of work on
Straight tequila.
Just drink a ton of tequila this summer. To work on advancing the business this summer. So that was really helpful. But then I think it's also just the credibility again of that. And sorry for the noise. We're getting some people walking into this classroom, so I apologize if it's distracting. Also, again, just that Yale email address and the network of people who are venture capital investors who went to Yale College, and they don't look at like the Yale Business School as, Yale SOM is like, oh, that's not part of Yale. They think of it as like, oh, we want to help the community, we want to help this place grow. So again, combination of there are resources internally to raise money and do it in a way that doesn't dilute your ownership share, but separately, the power of the Yale network, that Yale email address, I'm not worried about raising capital as much as I am about like getting a business off the ground. Like that's more scary to me.
Sort of just to add slightly to that, there are also several venture capital funds that are focused specifically on either just Yale ventures or student ventures. So there's Dorm Room Fund, there's both
Contrary Capital.
There's a bunch that are that fit
Blue
into
Ivy
those.
Ventures.
Yeah, Blue Ivy Ventures is the one I was thinking of. And then there's also one of the innovation advisor mentors at SciCity that Nithya mentioned earlier he himself is a venture capitalist at a firm locally, but also sits with a couple others on a fund that invests more traditionally higher check sizes in student ventures at Yale. So there's just, those are, more dilutive and more traditional in terms of investing, but there is opportunity for that as well. A common thing that's talked about here in the program on entrepreneurship is in terms of the grant money, there's obviously a fixed amount. It's much smaller than what is available to you in the traditional investing world. And so not every venture gets grant funding, but that doesn't have any bearing on your company's success. Nor does it mean that you're not going to turn around and then get, $100,000 from one of the VC funds. So there's just tons of opportunities. And then I think you can talk about the SciCity grants.
Yeah, I can plug, I think it's a really cool environment to be in if you just want to tip that idea that's boiling in your head into something real. There's a lot of small pools of capital to help you do that. So on a rotating basis, I gives out $500. If you just have an idea, you're going to tell them how you're going to go explore it and learn a new piece of info, they'll give you $500. There's an accelerator that happens every semester, which gives you $1,000. And then something I think is a lot more valuable is structured mentorship to grow your initiative and get you connected to other mentors outside of Yale. And then at the end of the year, there's 4 $25,000 grants that you can apply for. And everyone that runs these pools of funds are very open to having you come in and work with you to workshop your application. So if you are motivated, if you decide what I want to do here is get this grant money and work on my thing, that's also possible. If you want it, it's here.
Awesome. Well, thank you again, everyone, for the questions that we had come through. It means a lot that we're able to engage and have that conversation. If I'll ask, there's one question that actually encapsulates this in a good way. Try to be brief, 30 seconds each. Question came in, why did you choose SOM? So to end our conversation, how would you just describe, again, 30 seconds, Why'd you choose SOM?
I wanted to be in a place where everybody was sort of self-selecting into being here and being here for sort of a growth experience. And it felt like people coming to New Haven to be part of like maybe more of an academic experience would be a better community fit for me than people self-selecting into schools because they were in Chicago or New York or Philadelphia for access to jobs. It felt like it would be a really strong community, and that's been very true.
Kind of the same thing said a little differently. I think you should go to the business school where you like the people the most, and I liked the people the most here. You spend a lot of time with the people, and every school teaches you economics, so.
Initially, I wanted to go to a program where I could do my MBA and my master's in public health. That being said, when I was choosing between schools, a friend teased and was like, oh, like SOM, like that'll be perfect for you. And I thought it was kind of a neg saying like I'm a nerdy type or like whatever, but whatever it was, I really love the community here. I think it is very sincere, very authentic. I feel capable of being my full messy self at all times. And yeah, I feel very safe and happy here. So it's definitely the people and the culture.
Awesome. Thank you all. Thank these guys for their time. Thank you for joining us. Thanks for the questions. See you this fall, next fall, future fall. Take care.
Bye. Thank you.
Have a good one.